In the enthusiasm of the early days, one of the first fundraising projects was the Lobster Festival, later called a Seafood Festival, in August of 1971 at the Bar Harbor Airport seaplane ramp. Overly optimistic estimates of 6,000 picnickers led to thousands of leftover lobsters and ears of corn, when less than 1,500 customers attended. Lessons were learned from the experience, and the $3,000 debt in itself served as a project for the next 2 years. Subsequent seafood festivals on the 4th of July at the athletic field in Bar Harbor have been financially successful and expanded to become a central attraction in Bar Harbor's Independence Day celebration.
What happened, they set up the lobsters the night before. They really did a good job. They worked all night putting these things together. What was the guy with Northeast Harbor? He even had the pan to put the, whatever it was.
He built a big...
And we were all building, and the guys went up there and put everything in, and it rained like you know what. And, and so everything had washed out. And from there on in, it was just plain H-E-L-L. And the guy, and in fact, I had the booth, they loaded up the plate, bring it up to me, and I put a potato on it. The guy said, what the hell's a potato for?
I think that was the last one that got rained out. We got been rained out since.
No, sir, that was, after that, we brought it down at the athletic field, and it's worked ever since.
Yeah, interesting project, though, if I can, just briefly. John, who Dick is referring to, is John Phelps.
Yeah.
John was the owner of Branscombe Coal and Wood.
Yeah.
He built this 4x8 tray,
Ray, iron.
2.5 inches high, and you put water in the bottom of that, and you put in a bunch of seaweed, you put your lobsters, you put in your potatoes, and you put in your corn. And with the idea being it was all gonna cook at the same time. And we had a trial run over to the Somme Sound, and a bunch of us went over, a bunch of Rotarians and their families, and everything worked perfect, because it was a nice day and everything else. And then just to elaborate on what Dick says a little bit, we went up there, hit our first one up to the airport. We were on the plane ramp where the planes come in, and we did work, shoveled by hand, and built it up with a clay, built up on the sea ramp so it'd be level with a clay type gravel that we went out there and picked that hand by hand with hand banjos I call them and everything else. And then as Dick says, to make a long story short, the rain came. If you know what rain does to clay, it washed it all away. So now we don't have any more water in there, and that's why our lobsters weren't cooking. And I'll never forget these two young ladies, very nice young ladies, but they called me over and they said, sir, our clams, we tried them pull apart and they keep closing. And I said, well, there's one thing about it, that means they're fresh.
And I was the incoming Rotary President the year of the first annual Seafood Festival. The thing I remember most about that was that I was responsible for going to both the First National Bank and the Bar Harbor Banking and Trust and signing my name on the dotted line, I think $1,500 a piece. I always remember when I walked into the bank, both banks, the paperwork was all ready. So I signed 2 notes at each bank. In a way, it was one of the best things that ever happened to us in that it drew us together as a club because we now had a task, and that was to pay off the money that we lost in the first annual Seafood Festival. And I think the next year we made enough money on the second annual Seafood Festival so we could have paid off all our debts, but we decided that we would pay off some of the notes and hold some of the money back to use for other charitable giving that we hadn't been able to do the previous year. And I'm sure by the third annual Seafood Festival, all the notes had been paid back and we were solvent again.
see what you can find. If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along the lane, you go down or a turn of 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good and live by. When I friend people, when I dirty, when I mean, we love everybody, but we do as we please. When the weather's fine, we go fishing or go sailing in the sea. We're always happy, life's for living, yeah, that's our philosophy.